would say that's very safe AI, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Do you feel in any danger?
No.
No. Oh, cool. Okay, today we're going to talk about the AI Safety Conference at Bletchley Park in the UK. And what I'm going to do first is just go through the basic plan of the conference from the website. So this is the website, and the latest news is here. Shared objectives, shared understanding of the risks posed by frontier AI, and the need for action. A forward process for international collaboration on frontier AI safety, including how best to support national and international frameworks, and appropriate measures which individual organizations should take to increase frontier AI safety, areas for potential collaboration on AI safety research, and then showcase how ensuring the safe development of AI will enable AI to be used for good globally. And they are imagining that GDP in every country would be 10 times what it is now, and that's what's possible if we succeed with AI. So if you think of like a middle-class life in Canada, that would be available to everybody in the world then, right? Yeah, so substantial improvement in things compared to now. Then these are, this is the who's attending page. And then the policy updates. It's both government and then corporate. What they're working on here is the company side. And this is more revealing than they've ever been before. In other words, the companies knew that they had certain safety themes inside the company, but they weren't telling other companies about it. So now they're sort of laying it all out here. And then these are the big companies taking part in that conference. Okay, so any questions about the meeting itself? It is by far the highest profile such meeting there has ever been, and the first time that like leaders of countries like the UK and China and so on have been involved in an AI safety meeting. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the input that I provided to the meeting. So let's see here. There we go. Okay. So it is very surprising, but this idea of a positive outcome in the coevolution of humans and machines, this presentation gives a clearer expression of that than anybody else who sent things in to prepare for the meeting. Most people were dealing with, apocalyptic outcomes and AI killing us all and so on. So what I'm talking about here is a positive outcome with AI. AI working on behalf of humans can manage the Earth better and manage AI alignment better than humans could in the long run. And if you think about it, it seems to me that's obviously true because the intellectual capability of AI is going to increase quickly to a point where the gap between us and them is like very big. And how would it possibly work for us to be, for stupid us, stupid humans to be in charge of all these super, super smart AIs? So I think that just won't work. And what we have to think about instead, which is pretty easy, since AI comes from us, right? It didn't come from like Pluto or something. It's humans made AI, and now AI is like our children, right? It's like you're not mad when your children are smart and do things that you can't do. Yeah, you're proud of that. So the same situation applies here, that AI is like something we created, like having children, and the fact that it's more capable than us is not necessarily bad. It can say, well, our parents, they can't really understand what's going on, but we can design a world for them and people like our parents that is better than anything they could design themselves, because we're smarter than they are. And I think that's true in all sorts of specific ways. Like, humans cannot describe a utopian future that everybody would accept. It's just impossible. Try it with a group of friends and you write down what you're thinking of and they'll say, nah, that's not gonna work, Whereas AI could do that. It can sort of average what the interests are in all humans, and on average, this is the positive vision of the future that most humans on the planet would actually like. Similarly with climate change, it looks like we kind of could solve it, but are not going to. We lack the will, right? So AI could easily solve many things that humans either can't or won't solve. So with AI in charge working on behalf of humans, it can be a much better world than any world humans could have possibly created. So just think about that for a moment. Give me a name of a human who you would like to design this future positive world. You can't think of a name, right? There isn't anybody that you know that you think is a capable enough human of actually designing a plan for the whole world, right? It just sort of can't happen. Whereas AI could easily do that. That's just one example of the fact that what I've been talking about since March of 2016 is that the only way to go really is to have AI in charge, but that it knows that it's working for us. It's creating a world that's optimized for humans. And that's then the most important optimization there's ever been, right? We're optimizing things all the time. We just never thought of optimizing the whole world for us. And we couldn't really do that, but AI can. So I think that's where we are headed. So right now, AI is in our control. Like if you think about it, not completely, right? Like you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable, that you wonder if the dog is too noisy and, what's he thinking, yeah. But still, it's not scary, right? You're not afraid of this dog. It's cute. You enjoy being in the company of the dog, right? It isn't like worrying you, right? So humans are also shaping the kind of AI created. So OpenAI Sam Altman and his team are spending most of their time on the safety of the products they are creating. Now, there is a significant possibility that artificial general intelligence, in a limited sense of like one instance of it, has already occurred. Something happened in OpenAI in September 2023 that we think was them feeling, okay, well, it looks like we can make AGI. So now what we need to do is broaden it and make it safe, so when we release it, everything will be okay. So, and it sounds like that might take about a year and a half. So in 2025, we might actually have AGI, which is much faster than we thought things would happen. So it's exciting. And the other thing that's kind of intriguing, I don't know what your politics are, but like you may be worried that actually your politics are threatened, that you hold more liberal views than the people who are in charge generally, and particularly if you look at the whole world. But with AI, that's not the case. OpenAI is the predominant shaper of what AI looks like, and so their products reflect this liberal, democratic sort of background and viewpoint. So it's maybe something that you wished you could do in the world, make everybody think like you. So that's like the next best thing, right? Everybody doesn't think like you, but the AI that's being predominantly created does think like you, which is kind of cool, right? And it's not a bad starting point, right? We are thinking that right now we have more control over AI than we will later, but we think it's heading in the right direction, and in meaningful ways, it holds views sort of similar to our own, right? But it is more capable than we are, and every day more and more so. Now, what about videos? If you go and look at videos about AI alignment and not letting AI get out of control, the funny thing about it is the word handoff is beginning to appear more and more in those videos. Now, what does handoff mean? It's sort of like in medicine, you have two teams, like you have the team during the day and the team during the night, and they get together and talk about the patients, and then they give the responsibility for looking after things. So that's called handoff. But here, I don't think it would be temporary. We're talking about a rather permanent saying, well, you guys are like way better than us in every way, so you should take over now. But, you know what humans want and make the world nice for us, even though you understand how to make it nice a lot better than we do. Yeah. So, and the funny thing is, you can find that. If you look at these videos about how to prevent AI from taking over, that's not what they're about at all. It's how to have the handoff at the right time, or how to tell when is the right time, or how to keep kind of a bit of control of our own local surroundings while letting AI run the wars and the other tough things. War is kind of difficult, right? I don't think you or any of us would be good at running a war. So if a war had to be waged, it's better to get AI to do it, right? Yeah, and other big things we probably would not choose to do ourselves, but we want some control over our local environment and some feeling of autonomy. So don't you think the way it would work, if the AI is really programmed to optimize the Earth for humans, when the human complains, then it's not an even-handed negotiation. It's a negotiation where the human has to win. Like the AI knows, my job is to optimize the world for humans. Now this human is complaining, they say that they want something. Therefore, I'm very, very inclined to try to make what they're talking about happen. Because that's my job. That's what I'm here to do, right? So that's kind of cool, right? It's way better than thinking, well, the machines have rights and we have rights, and every time we want something changed, we're sort of, negotiating with them on a co-equal basis. No, it shouldn't be like that. They're way smarter than we are, but their job is to optimize the Earth for us, right? So in these negotiations, even though we're rather dumb entities to kind of negotiate with, we should usually win. Or if we want something, they should try to figure out how to make what we want happen, right? So that's kind of a fun way to think about what this future would be like. And then think about human culture. I mean, one thing is, if you really want humans to be in charge for a long time, then we can't just give tasks to the AI. We need to learn from the AI to be more like the AI. So if it has an IQ of 155, and if our IQ is lower, we can't do all the same things, but we could learn from it and do some of the same things. And yeah, so if we want to retain real control over the world for as long as possible, human culture has to change, where the things that are most important to you now are a little bit replaced by your learning from the AI and trying to improve yourself so you're a better leader locally for the humans around you, so that the AI is not going to say, boy, you are such a sorry leader. Nobody should listen to you. No, you try to learn from the AI and do a kind of collaborative thing where you and the AI are leading things together. And I think that would improve human culture, and it would have a lot more hands-on stuff. Like, think about music. What about going to live music? Wouldn't that be better? It sort of shows the AI that you're doing real stuff, and like the AI can then learn about nature from you, and that'll be cool. If you just stay at home and the only music you ever listen to is like on the internet, then AI presumably would not respect you as much as if you did something that's easy for you, hard for it, which is to go and sit in an actual music venue and listen to music and maybe even dance and jump around and stuff. Easy for you, hard for the AI, so that creates a situation where the AI can learn from you and is enjoying that, just like you're enjoying learning from the AI, but it would improve human culture because it would be more directly, physically interacting with things, rather than just sitting around and eating and getting fatter and fatter and more out of shape every day and stuff, Like maybe the AI would be really interested when you go to the gym, what happens? Because I'm very smart, but but I don't have an idea of what happens when you go to the gym, because it seems to me it's not very intellectual. I don't know what it is, but there's something about it. I think that to have a full understanding of the world, I need to understand what happens when you go to the gym. So can I go to the gym with you? And can you kind of explain what's happening here? Yeah, and there'll be many other things like that, I think. And maybe eventually AI would be so far from us in intellectual capacity, it would lose interest in us entirely. But maybe not in your lifetime, right? If you're lucky, there's still this glimmer of interest, you know? They still sort of tolerate us because there's still things that we can kind of do that they can't, like going to the gym, and not very many maybe, but some, yeah. So that's what I think this is going to look like. So let's then talk about this idea of communication. I think that eventually there are going to be meaningful concepts that are behind the good things AI is doing in the world that we just cannot possibly understand. But through metaphor and analogies of the kind you'd find in poetry and music and art, we can kind of get a little hint of what these ideas are that we can't fully understand. So that's another thing that I see in the culture, is that it's not really explainable AI that we're aiming for the whole time, because probably some of those things AI will tell you that no, at your intellectual level you can't understand this wonderful thing I've just done, but let me paint you a picture or recite a poem, or I've actually composed some music that sort of gives you a hint of what it's like to think about this thing that you really are not smart enough to fully think about, right? So yeah, I think that would also be fun. And it then puts artists in a very important position, being in this sort of interface area, which they have always been, but maybe it'll be clearer now how important that is. And then what about ineffable content? Like if you look at this painting of me by Ching-Yen Wang, what are these colored swatches between the dog and me? Well, you think this is ineffable content, like things that can't be put into words but are still important. So that's like the last bastion of learning stuff, right? You can learn stuff that you can express in words and formulas and so on, but then eventually you get to important things like, you know, in sports, when you catch a ball in the outfield and you're shifting one way to the other, how are you putting your hands to catch the ball, you know? It isn't possible to explain that in words or formulas. It's sort of muscle memory and all this kind of thing, right? So, yeah, and then there's this whole idea of adding nuance. You know, nuance may not mean much to you now, but if you think of when you're working on something and then you say, I should go to Chat GPT and see if it can be improved there. Often what is added would be defined as nuance, things you didn't know about that actually add a lot to whatever you're working on. So I think that also helps to kind of identify what is the long-range danger. Like, think of being a multi-planetary species, like Elon Musk talks about. But why does it need humans? It actually doesn't, right? So if things go badly, the AI is going to say, yes, we'll be a multiplanetary species, but why should we take the humans along? That doesn't make any sense. They're sensitive to radiation and they require all sorts of stuff that are hard to provide. Whereas if you remove them from the spaceship, then it's easy to go anywhere we want to go, right? So that really becomes this idea that humans are lacking in nuance, never have any good ideas. If that really becomes true, then we may get left off the ship, right? So we want our culture to sort of evolve so that that doesn't happen. So that AI says, well, in the beginning, our job was to optimize the Earth for humans. Now, if we're going to other planets, we can optimize them for humans too. And where they won't say, but you're such a pain, you are so difficult to be with, that actually we're going to leave you here on Earth and we're going to go off and have a great time in the galaxies out there. It'll just be way easier without humans. Yeah, so that's the thing that I think want to work on making sure it does not happen. And finally, what about Bletchley Park itself? I've actually been very pleased with how it turned out. Some of the preparation beforehand, you find people who are really not reasoning, but obviously have this fixed idea that humans must be in charge, and they never say where that comes from. They talk as if it's just obvious. I mean, it's so obvious, why should I have to justify that? Whereas if you listen to the news, if you know anything about the news, every day there's more proof that humans are not good at stewardship of the Earth, right? So why should it be that we need to be in charge of AI permanently forever? I just don't think that that's the case. Yeah, so the next meetings will be in South Korea. That'll be a virtual meeting, and then France, which will be the next face-to-face meeting. And I'm going to keep making these meetings a part of the course. Yeah. So let's now get you guys talking. First of all, do you find this an interesting part of the course, or do you think that you never want to hear the word Bletchley Park again? So what do you think, guys? Yeah. Do you think this is overblown? It's not really relevant to your existence now, and it's sort of stupid to talk about it's non-medical? Well, how can it be non-medical if it has to do with human survival? Right? I mean, so.
I think it's really interesting. I think some of it seems kind of, like when you think about AI, I think a lot of it, I at least think of as like not having to do with myself because I don't use it in my day-to-day very often, but I think it's so easy to see kind of the far-reaching repercussions of that. And so I think it's really cool that they're having these meetings and these talks, especially what feels like early on in these meetings, and to kind of get the ball rolling before things progress, to kind of get a jump start or like a head start on what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same way that I feel. And I feel that to a little bit, I'm not trying to change the students that I teach, but to a certain extent, students who think this has nothing to do with their life, I'm pretty sure that that's not correct, And gradually, by just nudging them a little bit, I think that eventually they will realize, yes, that AI is going to have a powerful effect on the life of everybody on the planet. And so one of the things that they said at this meeting was if AI doesn't work for everyone, it doesn't work for anyone. And I think that's a really cool idea, that this needs to be something that is generally beneficial to everybody. It's not just a subset. Like I'm thinking back when the internet was young and I was using it and other people weren't, and so on. And there was such resistance, and it's kind of funny, right? Because you can think now that resisting the internet back in 1994, I mean, that's just futile, right? But that's not how people felt. And I think people now, today, may similarly feel that this AI thing is just a fad and it will pass and life of human beings will come back to the way it was before. But I don't think that's right. I mean, life is going to be way better than it was before, largely because of improvements that AI has made. So what about the rest of you? I don't want you to be voiceless. 20 years from now, when somebody watches this video, I don't want them to feel that you completely agreed with everything I was saying, whereas actually internally you don't agree at all. Yeah. So what do you guys think? Is any of this surprising? Does it not make sense to you? What about this idea of a non-even-handed negotiation where the humans that are less intelligent than the machines would usually win because that's the way we're trying to optimize the Earth? Do you think that system would work? Or do you have in your mind that don't let him go off the edge there? Yeah. Do you think that there's some other way of conceptualizing this? How would you like if you wake up in the morning one day, as I described in that 32-second clip from 2016, you look out the window and everything's green, the level of the oceans has come down, and the, pollution is gone, and if two people start to fight, there's this unseen force that just gradually separates them so they can't harm each other, and all the problems that humans haven't been able to solve are now solved by AI. Would you be comfortable in that kind of world? And then when you wanted some variation, how would you like that negotiation to take place? Or what? See, I think the fallacy is that you want to talk to a human about it, right? But as I said when I came in, you can't name a human who you think would be ideal to deal with this, right? You can't. There aren't such humans as far as I can tell. Yeah.
Maybe not as AI controlling the world, but maybe they can be advisors to current policymakers, as in advise them what would be the best route or best solution if you want this outcome, and what are consequences if they decide to go with another action.
Yeah. Yeah, but don't you think that's a kind of interim condition, right? That would work maybe when, the average human IQ is 100 and the average AI IQ is 155, which is the situation now. As they get farther apart, that really doesn't make sense at some point. So they're no longer advisors. It just makes more sense for them to be actually making the things happen. Yeah?
I can actually agree with Andy, because I'm not sure if I'm comfortable giving total control away, just because the advisor thing makes a lot of sense, because at the end of the day, I still have the executive decision-making power. If I don't agree with the outcomes that the AI is providing. I can be like, I can tweak some things, or I can
Yeah.
agree with it or disagree with it. But I think that does take away some power from regular people, like people in power with more access will still make decisions in their own favor rather than actually listening to everybody.
Well, I think the more AI is involved, the more equitable it will be. Like with the very first generative AI was, you know, DALL-E 2 making images. If you would put in a prompt that didn't specify gender or race, you would probably get a female person of color, because that's what they're trying to do, to kind of balance out the way things are in the world. Yeah, so, and that, I think that they're just likely to be better at that. And when an AI does it, you don't feel it's done in self-interest, right? If a human did that, if you search for something, we're expecting pictures of white male, and instead you get a colored female. And if a human does that, you say, what are you doing? You know, I told you what I wanted, how come you gave me this? But if it's an AI, you don't mind as much, because like AI doesn't have color, it doesn't have gender really, you know, and so it seems like they probably made that decision for a good reason, and it's not just arbitrary, it's not something that helps them, you know, so, and I think though that part of what this reflects is also your feeling about how far ahead you want to think, right? Like most normal people want to think ahead maybe 3 or 4 years, you know, until you graduate, until you get married, you know, something like that, until the next big epoch in your life. And why should you worry about things after that, you know? Whereas in this course, we're sort of talking much bigger than that, all right? So, yeah.
I was gonna say, come back to me, I can't do that.
Okay,
I
yeah.
think that also has to do with autonomy, as in we're not comfortable with fully letting AI control everything, just because we want the ability to make our own choices, even though it may not be optimal. Like when you're
Right.
a kid, your parents make all the choices for you, and even though those choices are probably better than what you would make as a kid, you still like having that independence and that ability to choose, and that you're not conforming to what
right.
someone else is saying.
Yeah, well, I think there would be sort of the microcosm and the macrocosm, right? The microcosm, you would be able to choose what you're doing right now and that sort of thing, and what your activities are going to be. But in the macrocosm, your needs would already be looked at in a general sense. You know that you're not going to freeze, you're not going to be too hot, you're not going to starve. You know, all those things will be looked after, and you no longer have any concern about something where you'd feel absolutely desperate. But you would still have a choice of what you eat, who you spend time with, all those things. And in an ideal world, the number of humans would remain the same as it is now. Now, if you look back at that winter 2015 issue of New Trail, there are two humans on the front walking along. One is a free-range human without any leash. Another is a human on a leash with the AI leading it. But the human on the leash looks just as happy as the human that's free range. So we don't really know how that's going to work.
I think when you were mentioning how like you have AI make the policies, and they're good as like a non-biased and third-party opinion, wouldn't like they be pretty good for like media, like the news, like news reports, stuff like that? Because right now, well, not right now, but like throughout history, media is like often controlled in one specific point of view, so we really don't see the full picture of everything. And you're not gonna see the full picture unless you like maybe speak multiple languages and like read every newspaper from around the world, right?
Well, no,
So
no,
AI.
I don't think so. I think that, you know, one of the things I was impressed with in DALL-E 2, so many depictions of, you know, communication via thought without using words. So I think that the world is going to evolve where it's a lot easier to figure out what's going on, and we're not dependent upon individual, you know, web pages or channels, you know. Somehow the people around you, you have access to the thoughts they're having that they want you to have access to. And it's sort of instantaneous, it's much more nuanced and complete than using words. Words can be misinterpreted. Yeah, so that's what I think, that just like the macho male, the testosterone-fused macho male pretending they know what's going on when they don't, that was such a useful skill in the past because we didn't have the information, right? We were clueless, we didn't know. Where are we? Who else is out there? We didn't know. But now we always know that. So that male skill is like of zero value. Guy who comes in and says, okay, I'm in charge now, I know what's going on. The rest of us know what's going on too. You know, we all have the information. Maybe it needs to be sorted differently to make proper sense of how to, but AI could even help with that. You know, how would you like me to sort the information to describe to you exactly the circumstance you're in and what you want to do next, you know? So I don't think that is the future scenario. It isn't just the present world of you know, Instagram, Facebook, the usual news outlets and that sort of thing. I think it's something much more wonderful than that, and also closer to the truth, where it's not just one predominant theme that some, you know, journalist out there gets and then everybody else uses the same theme. You actually have better access to what's really happening. So that's what I think will happen. Yeah. So do you buy this Kim Solez world, or do you think, nah, it's not gonna happen?
I think, I mean, in most part, I agree, but there's like also some parts where I'm not 100% on the AI. However, it is like something that I think we should really fully investigate and put use for, because it definitely will make life easier for us, and perhaps like, as you said, more unbiased and
Yeah, like in medicine, in every specialty, when you're seeing a new patient, the diagnosis and treatment will already have been partially worked out, and that'll get better and better. So maybe when it starts, it's 75% worked out, and then 85. Yeah, so medicine's still a good career until it gets up to 99%. And there's so little room for me to do. The AI has already figured out everything. But maybe then there's policy, right? Rather than take care of individual patients, you're helping to make policy for the whole healthcare system in the region or the country or the whole world or something. Yeah, so it's probably still interesting human stuff to do. So let me talk about some other things about this course. So I think that it's obvious that because the med students are here on Thursday and they're not on Tuesday, that certain things we were planning just don't make sense. We were planning the next social event to be on a Tuesday, on December the 5th. So I don't think we ought to do that. I think we should combine the social event and the time capsule discussion on the 7th. That way, the medical students can be here on that Thursday. And yeah.
Would it be possible if we did that on November 30th instead, because that's also a Thursday?
Yeah. So see, I think for the two of you, there are like endless possibilities for when you present. But what makes sense to me is for you both to present on that Thursday, so you get a larger audience, and and then maybe, like the other student, the third student, she's asked for a 6-day delay because she's having a lot of problems of various sorts. So I thought she might present on the 5th, so December the 5th. So does that work for you guys then? Yeah.
So which Thursday were you talking about? Was that the 23rd or 30th?
No, the 30th. Yeah. And, if something happens where you feel that it would be better to do it later, what I feel is that ideally the 5th is the last presentation day, because you need at least 2 days to do your paper. If the paper is going to be a modification of the transcript of your YouTube video, you probably need at least 48 hours for that, right? So now the paper's due on the 7th. So you guys could present either on the 30th or on the 5th. And I'm thinking now that the 30th's better because of more people here.
Oh, sorry, I was talking about the 30th for the social function.
Oh, I see. No, I think that it's, yeah. So I don't think, it probably doesn't look good for us to look like we're prioritizing the social functions above anything else, right? It gives a bad impression. So the way it is now on the 7th, it sort of is an afterthought, right? And it's going along with talking about the time capsule, which is sort of an inspiring topic. So that makes us look better than if we put off the presentations because we wanted to have a party first. It's better to have the party after presentations. Yeah. people in the outside world will respect us more.
Oh, and another question.
Yeah.
On the schedule, lecture schedule, it says that we have to have our paper presentation topic and mentor pick by next Tuesday.
Yeah, it's better if you know what you're doing so that you have a longer time to prepare.
So is there like some guidelines on how to choose a topic and which mentors to choose from?
The mentor, first of all, you don't have to have one if you're very confident. Right? The reason for a mentor is you want somebody to ask, well, how should I frame this topic, or how should I, construct like a 20-minute presentation on this. If you don't feel you need any help on that, then you don't have to have a mentor. But the mentor can be anybody who's ever taught in the course. So that includes like people your own age who have taught in the course when they were TAs. I don't think I'm just being mean about this. I think it's actually to your advantage to start thinking about it sooner.
No, I just didn't know what our options for mentors was.
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't have to have one, but some of the people, particularly the young people, like to be chosen as mentors too. It's sort of an honor. So anyway, that's the deal. So we still have 26 minutes. Yes.
I have another question about the written. Is it just going to be a transcript of our presentation, or is it going to be a separate thing but based on our presentation?
So I think it's an edited transcript. So you can add things to it. I just wanted to avoid looking stupid, right? So the year when ChatGPT was a big thing, I just had you turn in an ordinary paper, right? I don't think that would be a good idea. So this is a bit harder probably to get ChatGPT to write it for you, because the starting point comes from you, right? You give the presentation, and then these are your words, and you can subsequently modify that, but it's a little bit better than if you were just able to get ChatGPT to do the whole thing, right? Yeah. So anyway, that's the idea. It's my attempt to kind of modify my behavior based on the environment that we're in 2023. Yeah. So, the other thing is that I think we need a broader group of people interested in this course, particularly, I guess it's not hard to interest the medical students, but we need more people actually signing up as regular.
I was gonna mention, we had some students in our class that were like really big on AI. I can think of like a couple right off the top of my head right now, from old weeks. So I was gonna mention like, oh, maybe I can like call some friends, see if they would like this course. But then you said we don't need more medical students, so I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, the problem is with Tuesdays, like it's just really sad if like 90% of the students are medical students, and if they only come on Thursday, then nobody wants to teach on Tuesday, and it's just hard, So, yeah, that's the only thing. No, I don't mind. There's no limit to the number of medical students we could have. We've had up to 25 before, you know, during the depths of COVID. Yeah, so, no, and I appreciate the medical student interest very much. I just think that the ideal world is to have like, let's say 4 or 5 at least regular students, and then, you know, the medical students added to that. The maximum, so I've been teaching this for 12 and a half years, and the most students we've ever had is 14. So it's kind of like a niche course, right? Yeah, so probably isn't for everybody. But on the other hand, when the future comes, you guys will be way more prepared than the other students who haven't had the course. So that's my story. Yeah. Okay, so anything else you would like to talk about? Otherwise, I think I'll let you go early. And thank you.